Let's talk about a wild rumor that's been making waves across the country. It all started with a few viral posts and sensational headlines that recently took over the internet, sparking heated debates and frantic searches for answers. Suddenly, everyone was convinced that Toyota and Honda were shutting down their US operations and taking 500,000 jobs with them, an idea that sent shockwaves through communities and workplaces alike. The panic was real. People imagined empty factories, shuttered gates, and entire towns losing their lifeblood overnight. The story had all the makings of a viral hit: big brands, job fears, and a huge, scary number that seemed to confirm everyone's worst nightmares. It spread like wildfire, fueled by social media outrage, economic anxiety, and the speed at which misinformation can travel in today's hyper-connected world. But here's the thing: this is exactly how misinformation thrives. It preys on uncertainty, amplifies fear, and drowns out the facts before they can be heard. It takes a sliver of truth, like real discussions about trade tariffs or international negotiations, and spins it into a full-blown crisis, distorting reality until it's almost unrecognizable. The idea that these companies would just vanish overnight was shocking, but it caught on fast, feeding into a sense of national vulnerability. The rumor played into deep-seated fears of American decline, job loss, and the threat of foreign companies abandoning the US market. It painted a picture of foreign companies fleeing instability, leaving American workers and families behind. But as we'll see, the truth was far less dramatic. Operations continued, and the real story was much more complex. The real story was nuanced, not apocalyptic, and required a closer look at the facts behind the headlines. Yet, before facts could catch up, the lie had already gone global, leaving millions confused and unsure of what to believe. So, what actually happened? Let's dig in and separate fact from fiction. With the internet in a frenzy, speculation was running wild and everyone wanted answers. Social media was ablaze with heated debates, and newsrooms across the country scrambled to keep up with the rapidly evolving story. It was time to check the facts and separate truth from fiction. Reporters knew that only official statements could cut through the noise. Journalists went straight to Toyota and Honda for answers, determined to get clarity directly from the source. Toyota's response? There is no truth to that rumor. Simple, direct, and definitive. The company wasted no time in shutting down the speculation. No corporate jargon, no hedging, just a flat-out denial. Toyota wanted everyone to know there was absolutely nothing to the story. They weren't closing plants or leaving the US. Their operations were continuing as usual, with thousands of employees still on the job. Honda echoed the same message. The rumors didn't come from them and were inaccurate from our standpoint. They emphasized their commitment to their North American workforce. In fact, Honda clarified they weren't moving production out of Canada or Mexico either. Their factories in those countries were operating as normal, with no plans to relocate. Both companies made it clear: no mass exodus, no 500,000 lost jobs, and no sudden changes to their manufacturing plans. The viral story was pure fiction, a dramatic tale with no basis in reality. This episode is a textbook example of how misinformation spreads online. A single rumor can snowball into a national conversation almost overnight. A wild claim gets amplified by social media and suddenly it's treated as fact, even when there's no evidence to support it. But responsible journalism and clear statements from Toyota and Honda set the record straight. The jobs, imaginary; the panic, unnecessary; the plant closures, didn't happen. The factories remained open, and production lines kept rolling. The lesson? Always check the source before hitting share. A few extra seconds of research can prevent a lot of confusion, so let's look at where the rumor actually started, and how it managed to fool so many people so quickly. So where did this rumor come from? It grew out of real political events, specifically new trade tariffs under the Trump administration. In early 2025, a 10% tariff hit Chinese goods, and a possible 25% tariff loomed over Canadian and Mexican imports. Then, a proposed 25% tariff on cars sent shockwaves through the auto industry. Automakers rely on cross-border supply chains, so these tariffs created huge uncertainty. Companies had to rethink their North American strategies overnight. This anxiety made people jump to dramatic conclusions, like companies fleeing the US. Even the administration admitted automakers would need time to adjust. The threat of tariffs was enough to fuel wild speculation and viral rumors, but the reality was more about adaptation than abandonment. Toyota wasn't leaving, but it wasn't ignoring the tariff threat either. In July 2025, Toyota hinted it might need to make adjustments if tariffs stayed in place. Adjustments could mean anything from tweaking production to possible layoffs, but not a full exit. This was a warning to policymakers. Tariffs have real consequences. Investors noticed too, Toyota's stock dipped slightly amid the uncertainty. For a company with massive US plants, any disruption is serious business. Toyota's message was clear: they're committed to America, but need stability to thrive. The rumor of a mass departure was false, but the tariff threat was real. The company was walking a tightrope, balancing reassurance with financial reality. Their plea? Keep the business environment predictable. Policy decisions in Washington ripple out to factory floors across the country. Let's see how Honda responded. While rumors swirled about Honda's future in America, the company was quietly doubling down on its US presence, making moves that would secure its place in the American automotive landscape for years to come. Instead of pulling back, Honda made a strategic decision to shift production of the next-generation Civic Hybrid to its Indiana plant. This move not only kept jobs in the US but also allowed Honda to sidestep potential tariffs on vehicles imported from Mexico, ensuring a smoother supply chain and more stable pricing for American consumers. This wasn't a retreat from the US market, it was a smart, forward-thinking adaptation to a changing global trade environment. Honda's leadership recognized the importance of staying agile and responsive. The Indiana plant has been building Civics since 2008, becoming a cornerstone of Honda's American operations. By keeping production stateside, Honda ensured that one of its most popular models remained accessible and affordable for US buyers. At one point, President Trump even mistakenly announced that Honda was constructing a brand new plant. In reality, Honda clarified it was investing heavily in its existing US facilities, modernizing and expanding them to meet future demand. Over the past 3 years alone, Honda has invested $3 billion in US manufacturing. That's just a part of a staggering $24.7 billion invested over the last 45 years, demonstrating a long-term commitment to American workers and communities. The results speak for themselves. Sales remain robust, with nearly 1.4 million Honda vehicles sold in 2024. The company is already seeing growth continue into 2025, a testament to its enduring popularity and strong customer loyalty. Looking ahead, Honda plans to boost US production by as much as 30% in the coming years, ramping up output to meet rising demand and further solidifying its manufacturing footprint in America. Clearly, this is not the behavior of a company preparing to leave. Instead, it's the mark of a company investing in its future here. With major plants in Ohio, Alabama, and Georgia, Honda has woven itself into the fabric of American industry, viewing the US as central to its global strategy and future growth. Honda's story in America is one of ongoing investment, adaptation, and partnership, not retreat or withdrawal. The facts, backed by decades of data and billions in investment, speak far louder than any rumors or speculation. And Honda isn't alone. Other automakers like Toyota are also shifting gears, investing in American soil to secure their future in a rapidly changing world. Toyota and Honda's moves are part of a bigger industry shift. The entire auto sector is rethinking its strategies in response to tariffs. American automakers like GM are onshoring production, moving more truck assembly to Indiana. Nissan reversed plans to cut shifts in Tennessee, keeping US lines running. Hyundai opened a massive new EV plant in Georgia, aiming to produce 500,000 vehicles a year. Hyundai's $21 billion US investment by 2028 shows long-term confidence in American manufacturing. The old mantra was offshoring for cheap labor. Now companies prioritize resilience and proximity. Tariffs, shipping costs, and global instability are driving this change. Industry leaders warn tariffs could still cause pain, but the trend is clear: more investment on US soil. The supply chain is being reimagined for a new era. It's not just about cars, it's about the future of American industry. And this trend goes beyond autos. The shift to American manufacturing is part of a larger trend: reshoring. For years, companies moved production overseas for lower costs. But the pandemic exposed the risks of long, fragile supply chains. Rising wages and shipping costs in China make US production more attractive. Now, companies like GE, Caterpillar, and Siemens are investing in American factories. It's not about patriotism, it's smart business in a changing world. Reshoring is creating jobs, revitalizing communities, and driving innovation. Honda's Civic Hybrid and Hyundai's EV plant are just examples of a broader movement. The rumor of Toyota and Honda leaving missed the real story. The current is flowing back to the US, not away from it. US trade policies have ripple effects, especially for Canada and Mexico. The North American auto industry is deeply integrated. What happens in one country affects the others. As the US imposed tariffs, Canada responded with its own 25% tariff on US-made vehicles. This trade war put huge pressure on Canada's auto sector, threatening jobs and production. Mexico faced similar threats, though the impact varied by industry. Honda's move to shift Civic hybrid production from Mexico to Indiana shows how tariffs reshape investment. These policies created friction between three closely linked economies. The tariffs weren't just a US issue, they were continental. Canada and Mexico felt the pain, complicating trade relationships. The trend of reshoring benefits the US, but creates challenges for its neighbors. The story is bigger than just one country's policies. It's about the future of North American manufacturing, and it's still evolving. So what's the real story after all the noise? Toyota and Honda are not leaving the US. The viral claim was completely false. Their commitment to American factories and workers remains strong, even growing. The real change is strategic adaptation, not abandonment. Companies are reshoring, investing, and rethinking supply chains for a new era. This episode is a lesson in media literacy. Don't believe everything you see online. Always check the facts, seek credible sources, and look beyond the headlines. The truth is often less dramatic, but far more important. The American manufacturing sector is experiencing renewed investment and strategic importance. Next time you see a panic-inducing headline, pause and dig deeper. The real story is usually more interesting than the rumor.